Hello everyone. Today I've got two amazing haunted house books for you. They are both recent releases and they are both very different than what you might expect from a haunted house book. I always love books that can take an old horror trope and turn it around, do something new with it, and still manage to give you all the scares. And these two books certainly do that. And as a reminder, I have horror books for sale. And you can find the books you see on your screen at the link in the description. And don't forget to check out my Read More Horror t-shirt. Many colors and sizes available, and there is a link in the description for that as well. And I appreciate it. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today is called The September House by Carissa Orlando. This is about a family, an older couple actually, who purchased their first home. They've already raised a daughter. She is in college. They find their first forever home. They've both been kind of nomads throughout their lives. Their families have had nomadic lifestyles. And they finally found something that they can call their own at an incredible price. We know right away that this house is haunted. But as they're going through with the realtor and the realtor is telling them about some of the things that have happened in this house, they don't really seem to be paying attention. They're just all wide-eyed and jaws hanging open at what an incredible deal this house is, that they can actually afford it, that it's finally going to be something that they can own. And so they kind of ignore all the stuff this realtor is telling them about the history of the house. But they soon find out, of course, that this house is very much haunted. And at first it doesn't seem to be a problem, but every September this house's activity ramps up and becomes explosive and terrifying. Blood running down the walls and screams and wails all night long, making sure nobody can sleep. There's an appearance of many ghost children in various states of decay from when they died. Some of them have their heads bashed in. Some of their necks are hanging out their shoulders, missing limbs. They're all horrid. And they don't really say anything. They just point at the basement because, of course, in the basement is something truly evil. Evil to the point that this couple actually hires a priest to come out once a year in September. And even though he can't get rid of the evil, it seems to quiet it down at least somewhat for a few days, allowing them to get a little bit of rest during every September. But they put Bible pages on the inside of this door leading to the basement. They board it up, and our protagonist, she comes up with rules that she has for herself and the spirits so they can cohabitate together, because she refuses to give up her home, something she's wanted her whole life. And one of those rules is you never ever open the basement door, no matter what. Well, it only takes a couple of years, and by the beginning of that third September rolling around, the husband can't take it anymore, so he leaves, and she never hears from him again. Now, their daughter is in college, has never been to this home, doesn't know anything about the ghosts or anything because the mother doesn't want to worry her. But when she finds out her father is missing, and her mother never called the police, never inquired to where he was, he never left a forwarding address, nobody's heard from him, she decides to come to the house because she is very angry at her mother for this kind of blasé attitude that her husband is simply gone. Now, this family does have some things that have happened in the past. They are not exactly a happy family from some events that have happened before. There's some dysfunction going on there. But her daughter decides to come home, and she is going to do a full-on investigation trying to find her father. And the mother is horrified, because if the daughter can't see any of these ghosts herself, if she can't experience any of the things going on, how is the mother going to explain to her daughter exactly some of the odd things that are going to happen in the house during her stay? Because in addition to all the horrifying ghosts, there's also one that acts kind of like a servant. It's a female ghost, and she's just there to serve the woman of the house. She'll clean, she'll cook, she'll make our protagonist tea and everything. But even she has some quirks every September, this friendly ghost. Even she has some things going on when September rolls around. And that's when their daughter just happens to be coming by to inquire about her missing father. This book is just great because there is that family dysfunction, and there's this feeling throughout. You kind of get the feeling that maybe there are no ghosts. Maybe none of these things are happening. Especially when the daughter shows up and starts an investigation with the police into her missing father. Of course, this woman, our protagonist, the wife, she is a kind of a person of interest because some of the things she's saying about the circumstances of him leaving the home just don't add up. And pretty soon it's going to be obvious that everybody from the police to her daughter are kind of suspecting her of some kind of foul play. And there is a history of mental illness in her family. So her daughter starts to suspect that maybe her mother has done something really, really horrible, and she is losing her mental faculties. This is just a fantastic book that takes a different twist on the horror house thing, or the haunted house trope, because we know it's haunted right from the beginning. Some of the things that are haunted in it are just terrifying and will probably give you nightmares, some of the images that the author will put in your head. But then at the end, through all this doubt and through all this mystery of what happened to the father, we are going to get our answers. And sometimes maybe it's better not to know the answers. Let me just put it that way. This book is great. It really puts a new kind of spin on the whole haunted house there. And I absolutely loved it. There is a link down below where you can purchase your copy of the September House, and I do recommend it. And next we have Caveat Emptor by Devin Diath. First of all, let's talk about that name. If that's a pseudonym, if that's a writer's name, and the last name is Death, well, I give him credit for that. That's very creative. If this happens to be his last name, and it is pronounced Diath, well, then he's in the right genre. Either way, I appreciate that name. And the book lives up to that creativity, let me put it that way. This one covers decades. It starts with a young man who's a new real estate agent for a certain firm, and he gets assigned to this house, almost like a mansion type house. And it's his job to sell it. It's a hard sell because even at a great price, nobody wants to buy it because this house has a history. Of course, that history is very dark. People die in the house. People disappear from the house. Some people move in and they leave, and they want nothing more to do with it, and it reverts right back to this real estate company. And he experiences some things in the house by himself, especially in a basement, which is this is one of the creepiest basements you're probably going to read about. And there are some things down there. Let's just put it that way. And so he's kind of scared of the house, but he does his best, and he finally sells it. But every time he sells it, again, horrific things happen. People go missing, and they're never heard from again. People will die in that house that he sold it to. And some people will just leave in terror and say, I don't care how much of a loss we have to take on this, get it out of our hands. We want nothing more to do with it, and they'll just take off. And so over the course of this book, we're going to see these different situations from these families who have bought the house from him. We are going to find out exactly what happened and what they experienced. But in the meantime, over the years, this house becomes kind of a part of him. And he goes from being extremely frightened to just curious. And then it just gets like, at the end, it's almost like a love story, I guess you can say, except there's only one person involved. But it becomes kind of a love story, a twisted and a frightening love story, but a love story nonetheless. And this is going to cover this young man from the time he's in his early 20s and starting out all the way up until his death as an old man. All the times he sold this house, and every single time something horrible has happened and it comes right back to his possession. It seems to be following him. It's just as much of a stalwart thing in his life as his friends, as his family, or anything else. And this is just a great horror book, because at the end we're going to find out that this is not really a haunted house, but it is a house that is haunted. Yeah, you'll have to read about that to find out. But like I said, it goes from this weird, terrifying prospect for him into almost like a love story. And it covers many, many years, many, many different owners, and all the strange, frightening things that are going to happen in between. I thought it was fantastic. I love that take on it, and how this book was presented. He's a British author, and it's a very British written book, you know, like some of those old classics from British horror back in the 80s, and I really appreciated that as well. And I thought it was just fantastic. So yes, I highly recommend it, and again, you can find the link in the description if you want to purchase your copy of Caveat Emptor. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.